Be honest with me for a second. When was the last time you did nothing? And no, scrolling doesn't count. Netflix playing in the background doesn't count. I mean actual nothing. Just you sitting there alone with your own head. You can't remember, can you? But here's the thing. You already know something's off. You can feel it. That tiny panic when the elevator doors close and your phone has no signal. The way your hand crawls toward your pocket at a red light before you even decided to move it. You probably felt it 10 seconds ago. That little itch to check something, anything. It's not just you. It's basically all of us. And no, it's not because you're lazy and your attention isn't broken. It's way stranger than that. Scientists once watched a grown man electrocute himself on purpose 190 times in 15 minutes. And the only thing he was trying to escape was silence. Stick with me for the next 10 minutes because you're about to find out what's actually hijacking your head. It involves a casino, a pigeon, and a chemical that's been lying to you your whole life. And at the end, I'll give you the 60-second trick that takes your brain back. Deal? Okay, 2014, University of Virginia. Researchers put volunteers in an empty room. No phone, no window, nothing but a chair, and one button. Press the button, and you get a real electric shock, the kind people said they'd pay money to never feel again. The task? Just sit there, alone with your thoughts. 15 minutes. That's the whole job. 2/3 of the men shocked themselves instead. 1/4 of the women too. And that one guy, 190 presses. Think about that. Sitting quietly with his own mind felt worse than pain. And before you laugh at him, look at your day. The elevator, the red light, the line at checkout, the kettle. Every single one of those moments, your hand moves before you've made a decision. Well over 100 times a day by some counts. The button's already in your pocket. You're already pressing it. This is not a willpower problem. You're not weak. Your brain was built for a world that doesn't exist anymore, and it all starts with a chemical that's been lying to you since the day you were born. That chemical is called dopamine, and everything you think you know about it is probably wrong. People call it the pleasure chemical. It's not. Back in the 90s, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz was recording the brain cells of monkeys while giving them little drops of juice. At first, sure, dopamine fired when the juice hit. But then something weird happened. Once the monkeys learned that a little light meant juice is coming, the dopamine stopped firing for the juice. It fired for the light, for the promise. Let that sink in. Dopamine isn't about the reward. It's about the maybe. And maybe? Maybe is exactly what your phone is selling. Way before smartphones, the psychologist B.F. Skinner found that animals in his lab worked hardest when the food came randomly. Not every time, not on a schedule, just sometimes. That one pattern, a reward that might come but might not, created the most obsessive button pressing he ever recorded. Casinos took that pattern and built slot machines out of it. And every time you pull down to refresh a feed, same lever. Maybe a like, maybe a message, maybe nothing. Your dopamine fires either way. Not because the content is good, because it might be. Which raises a darker question, right? If your phone hijacked this signal, what was the signal actually built for? The answer is boredom. And I know how that sounds, but stay with me. Boredom might be the most misunderstood thing in your head. The psychologist John Eastwood spent his whole career studying it, and here's how he describes it. Boredom is wanting to engage your mind and having nowhere to put it. It's not emptiness, it's a signal. A little nudge that says, hey, what you're doing right now, worthless. Go find something that matters. For most of human history, that nudge was gold. It pushed your ancestors to explore, to invent things, to talk to each other, to wonder. Boredom had one job, make you go do something meaningful. But here's the catch. Escaping boredom used to take effort. You had to get up, walk somewhere, start something. There was friction. Now, the escape hatch sits 4 inches from your hand and opens in half a second. The signal fires, the phone answers. Loop closed, before your conscious mind even walks into the room. Boredom never gets to finish its sentence. But here's what almost nobody knows. When scientists finally let boredom finish its sentence, what they found changes everything. First, real quick, think about how new all of this is. For hundreds of thousands of years, empty time wasn't the exception, it was the default. Shepherds watched flocks for entire seasons. Sailors crossed oceans with nothing to look at but water. Before electric light, night was 10+ hours of just lying there in the dark, thinking. Back in the 1600s, Blaise Pascal, French mathematician, properly brilliant guy, wrote that all of humanity's problems come from one single thing. We can't sit quietly in a room alone. That's 400 years ago. No feeds, no notifications. The struggle was always in us. The difference? Your ancestors lost that fight a few times a day. You can lose it every waking minute. Now, here's what was hiding inside those quiet moments all along. And honestly, this is my favorite part. 2001. A neurologist named Marcus Rakel notices something everyone else had ignored. When people in brain scanners were told to do nothing, their brains didn't power down. A whole network of regions lit up. A network that went quiet the second a task began. He called it the default mode network. In plain words, your brain's screensaver isn't blank. When you stare out a window, that network is sorting your memories, replaying conversations, imagining futures, connecting ideas that have never met before. That drifty, dreamy state you keep running from, it's one of the most active things your brain ever does. And one researcher proved exactly how powerful it is, with a phone book and a plastic cup. Her name was Sandy Mann. 2014, same year as the shock experiment, funny enough. She gave people the most boring task she could possibly design, copying numbers out of a phone book. Then she asked them to come up with creative uses for a plastic cup. And the board group ran circles around everyone else. Their minds, starved of anything interesting, had wandered off. And wandering minds make connections that focused minds just can't. So boredom isn't the opposite of thinking. It's the doorway to a different kind of thinking, which finally explains a feeling you know really well, but have probably never put into words. Why does 40 minutes of scrolling leave you drained, but a slow walk leaves you feeling human again? Two psychologists, Rachel and Stephen Kaplan, called it attention restoration. Your focus works like a muscle, and it recovers through what they called soft fascination. Clouds, trees, water. Things that gently hold your eye without demanding anything back. A feed is the exact opposite. It demands and demands and demands, firing your prediction machinery hundreds of times an hour and paying out basically nothing. Scrolling feels like rest because your body is still. But inside your skull, it's rush hour. You're not resting, you're sitting down while you sprint. Which brings us right back to that man and his button. Because that button never went away. Look at him one more time. Alone in that quiet room, pressing the shock button 190 times. It's easy to laugh at him. It's a lot harder to notice that entire industries now depend on you being him. Some of the smartest attention engineering in human history exists for one purpose: making sure you never have to feel that 15-minute silence. The button got redesigned. It glows now. It fits in your pocket, and it doesn't hurt when you press it. At least, not right away. But the room? The room is still there. Tonight or tomorrow, you'll be standing in it. A queue, a waiting room, a red light, and your hand will start moving on its own. So, the trick I promised you, it's stupidly simple, and it works. Next time it happens, don't fight the urge. Just delay it. 60 seconds. Let the moment stay boring. You'll feel the itch rise and crest, and This is the part nobody tells you. Pass. Then watch what your mind does next, where it goes when nothing is feeding it. That wandering isn't wasted time. It's the oldest, deepest mode your brain has. The one that made us curious in the first place. A man once shocked himself 190 times because sitting with his own thoughts felt unbearable. That experiment never really ended. The room is your pocket. The button is your screen. And you'll step into it 100 times before you fall asleep tonight. So, can you sit there? Can you do nothing? Your ancestors could. Your brain still can. The next quiet moment is coming. Let it stay quiet. And hey, if you actually make it past 60 seconds, come back and tell me in the comments. Be honest, I'll be reading.